Listen to daily, Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
Miami's got the Dolphins, the greatest of all.
Come on, Dolphins fans. Time to fins up.
We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl. Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one.
Hello, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast on this Tuesday, February the 11th. I'm your host, Mike Oliva, joined by an old friend of the show who covers the New York Jets for the New York Daily News, Antwan Staley. Antwan, how you doing today?
I'm good. How you doing? Other than people yelling at me about Aaron Rodgers, I think I'm doing all right.
You know, with the Jets and Dolphins, it's never boring. And now with the Aaron Rodgers news, I listened, which I was going to actually mention, to Joe Beningo, who you know Joe Beningo.
Yes.
Just diehard Jets fan, New York City, 660 WFAN. He lost his you-know-what yesterday when the news that Rodgers ain't coming back. He did a show because the news broke over the weekend. And it's like, 2025's over. Season's going to
like. I don't understand where the logic is, where the anger is coming from these fans. I could see if the Jets were like 10-6 or 10-7 this year.
Well, if they were, they wouldn't have got rid of them.
Exactly. Although they might have, here's why I think they got rid of him. It wasn't just a football decision. He didn't play well in a lot of games, but I think it's a financial decision. I mean, you look at it like their cap he would have been over $60 million over the cap in 26 had they kept him, because they wanted to pick up his roster bonus and some other stuff as well. And it's a cultural fit too. I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers. He comes with baggage. He comes with a lot of baggage.
Oh, yeah.
I think everybody knows that. Going on Pat McAfee, Netflix series, flirting with running for vice president, all this.
Fighting with Fauci all the time. There's a lot going on. It's like putting up with Hill in Miami. Tyreek Hill, you know what you're signing up for. If you sign up for Rodgers, you know what you're signing up for.
And until that point, too, it's like, okay, at some point, the distractions outweigh the production. And I think the Dolphins fans are starting to see that with Tyreek Hill a little bit. Yep. And I think, the Jets saw that with Aaron Rodgers. Like, the production just didn't add up to all the distractions that end up. And that's why you end up releasing them.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about that more. But first, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Caneswear. If you need the best Miami Dolphins gear or anything with the Hurricanes or the Panthers or the Heat or any of the teams in South Florida and all the college teams in Florida, go to Caneswear.com. That's Caneswear.com. And yes, they ship internationally as well. So check out Caneswear, the sponsor of today's show. Before we get more into the Jets, let's talk about this. Now we're heading into the offseason. Super Bowl is behind us. AFC East has a lot of moving parts. You got the Patriots have a new head coach and a ton of salary cap space, like $100 million or like $120 million.
And $31 million.
Well, okay, that's a lot
yeah.
For any team. And they have a new head coach and a young quarterback that looks promising. The Jets, we know about Rodgers, and they also have a new head coach. And they got Miami, was a coach on the hot seat now. Drama around Hill, question marks around the quarterback, and the Bills are the Bills.
And they're over the cap too, I think, right? The Dolphins.
Yeah. I was actually looking at that before you came on. Right now, the Bills are $14 million over. Miami's roughly $12 million, roughly. And then you got the Patriots are like 130.
And the Jets have about $21 million.
Yep, they got right here. I'm looking at over the cap. Jets are
I think it's 20.7 to be exact.
20.951. I see.
Okay.
Yeah, roughly 21 million.
Yeah,
roughly 21. So they're in pretty good shape compared to the other teams. If we're sitting here which team, not the Bills, putting them aside.
Okay.
Of the other three teams, which one do you think today, February 2025, has the brightest future right now?
Oh, it's the Patriots. There's no question. Like, it's already paid because you got a quarterback who I thought Drake May played well in spots last year. I saw him up close and personal, although it's about a quarter before he got knocked out against the Jets. But he was giving the Jets fits. So, I think he's going to be a really talented player for them moving forward. They got a lot of money to spend. I expect them to be players for T. Higgins, and they definitely need to improve the offensive line. If they can do that, I think it's a world this year in 25 where I could see them finishing in second place potentially. I'm not predicting it now because it's so many moving parts in this.
Way too early.
That stuff. But if they get a lot of the parts right and do what they're supposed to, I mean, it's no reason they can't win 8 games next year. And there's a lot of questions with the Dolphins, as we talked about. It's definitely a lot of questions with the Jets. So, and the Bills are going to be there. So, yeah, I think the Patriots, they could potentially finish in second place, but we'll see. But I think they have the brightest future as of now.
Yeah, I would too, because I think they got a head coach who is proven compared to the Jets in Miami. Not that he was like a superstar head coach with the Titans, but he was pretty good. He was pretty good with the Titans. Coach of the year. He's got some experience. And Glenn, we don't know about. Mike McDaniel, we got a 3-year sample size, and I'd say it's trending downward, not trending upward. So I think they're in a nice spot there. And again, with the quarterback and all the money, yeah, I would tend to agree with that. Now let's get to the Jets here. We sort of touched on it. Is the fear with Jets fans like what? Let's take the temperature of, not the Evan Roberts, Joe Beningos of the world. Let's talk about your rank and file who are screaming on the radio every day. Your rank and file Jets fans, are they happy with Glenn? Lukewarm about Glenn? Or are they like over the moon with Aaron Glenn as the head coach?
I think it's lukewarm. I think when he got the job, I think it was a lot of excitement. He was a former player, got drafted by the Jets, homegrown, Parcells' disciple, was there when Belichick was the defensive coordinator and assistant head coach. So, he grew up around, in the NFL.
He knows the atmosphere.
Exactly. The atmosphere. And he was around some really tremendous coaches. So I think that gives you some optimism there. I think the drawback, the hesitation I think Jets fans have is, another defensive coach. Saleh was a defensive coach, never got the offense correct. Now you got it's no Aaron Rodgers. Now you're looking for a quarterback. And all of a sudden for them, it's like we're doing this all over again, like we did in 21, where we're looking for a quarterback in a draft where it's very weak. It is not a great quarterback outside of Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders.
I know
it's not a lot there, and the Jets are picking 7. So unless they want to, jump, risk and take Jackson Dart at 7, which I hardly.
Joe Beningo said we got to take Jackson Dart at 7 now. I guess I don't know. I mean, what do we got to do? We got to take him 7.
No, they don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because they take Jackson Dart. They will be. It's like taking Zach Wilson all over again. Like he will get people fired in 2 years if that's the case. So my recommendation for them is to surround the team as much as they can with talent and then drop a quarterback in there later on. But to answer your question, yeah, I think it's been like 50-50 with Aaron Glenn. I think a lot of people like him, but it's also a lot of, we already did this before with defensive coaches, whether it be Todd Bowles or also Robert Saleh as well.
Yeah. Now, with Rodgers gone, you think they're going to be players for someone like a Fields or a Wilson or someone like that? And then if they want to take Jackson Dart in round 2, hey, that's not the worst thing in the world.
Correct.
Because you got someone there. Or if Milroe falls to round 2, or if you even want to wait a little bit, take a Kyle McCord in round 3 or something. Because I think he's actually a Jets fan. Howard. But you think they're going to be players for Russell, Justin Fields, Minshew, someone of that ilk who's out there?
Yeah, I think what I would do, and I think this kind of what they're thinking is keep Tyrod Taylor. He's already under contract for 25 anyway, and it's not a lot of money. So keep him, add another veteran. I think Justin Fields will be perfect, especially around like Breece Hall's skill set. I think they should try to run the ball a little bit more. Something they didn't do last year for whatever reason when Aaron Rodgers was there. Although he likes to throw the ball more than he likes to run it. But yeah, you have Justin Fields. You mentioned Minshew. That might be an option too, potentially. And then draft somebody too. I know they got Jordan Travis still on the roster, but we don't necessarily know if he's rehabbing, how his rehab is going, because he was in and out of the building. So that's what I would do. Like draft somebody, maybe second, third round. Like you said, Kyle McCord, I think I would be fine with that too, just a developmental project. He's not going to start in any way right now, but just, throw him in there and see if it could be a long-term solution. And then, Justin Fields, maybe a 2-year contract along with Tyrod Taylor and just see where he can go. Because I don't expect the Jets to be very good. I think a lot of people do, like Jets fans do, but I think probably the ceiling for them is probably 7 wins next year. But, you're starting over with a new coach, so you have to give it time. But Jet fans have been hearing this for the last 15 years, so they don't really feel like they want to wait for another winner.
Yeah, and I get it. Like it's when some reporters down here tell fans of Dolphins, be patient. We haven't won a playoff game in 20 years. We haven't won the AFC East since 2008. how long do I have to be patient? You know what I mean? It's like, I get it, that aspect of it. But again, also, like, you got to live in the moment, read the room.
Right.
We're starting over, first-time head coach, going to have growing pains. It's just natural there. They don't have a quarterback. It's like, in some ways, they might be ahead of their curve of a team like Miami, who, if this doesn't work next year and they're have to start over,
yep.
Jets are going to be 1 year ahead, and that's not the worst thing in the world. So, I mean, I'm not a Jets fan.
That's why I thought they probably should have just started over this year as did the process, because the Patriots have done that. They've turned over. The Jets have turned over. You're left, like, you're a season away. The Dolphins are 1 season away from turning this whole thing over.
Yeah, and next year with the salary cap situation, with the quarterback situation, I know some fans don't want to hear that, but it just is what it is. And with everything happening with Hill, and they're literally bringing back like 4 guys on defense, 5. If they are losing, and now some of the guys can go. Jordan Poyer, bye. No one's gonna miss them. Yeah. But they have 1 defensive lineman right now that you trust in Zach Sealer. They have 1 safety under contract in Patrick McMorris. Okay, like, they have so many holes on defense and they're way over the cap. They're going to have to move heaven and earth just to get under the cap. They got 10 picks in the draft. They're going to have, which they never do hit on these guys. They're going to have to hit on more than just 1 or 2. They have a mess. They have a mess, and they put themselves in this mess. And it's going to be interesting to see how the man of self-preservation, Chris Grier, can figure this out again and save his job again.
And you still got issues on the other side of the ball too. Like, it's not just defense,
we haven't even spoke about number 2 quarterback, offensive line, no wide receiver depth after the first 2, 1 tight end on the team that's any good. We haven't even spoken about that.
I think they need a workhorse running back. Quite honest with you too.
That's the one. Yes, but that's so far down on the list, Antwan.
It is, but it's also like they have so many different needs. And then, you got a guy like Javon Holland who's going to be a free agent there defensively too as well. I don't expect him to come back. It's actually been probably rumors that, the Jets are possibly targeting him too, which that would be interesting. But
who, Holland?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah. But they got a lot of hope. I thought their defense played well in spots last year because I watched watched a lot of Dolphins games on replay, just kind of, see what the division's going on. But
you're still part of us. You're still part of us in this group. You're tied in. You ain't never getting out of this.
I am. But I thought Anthony Weaver did a really good job defensively, considering this was his first year being there. And, I thought they did as well as they could have. And the defense kept them in games at times.
It did. The problem was Chubb missed the entire year.
Yeah.
Jaylen got back, played like 1 or 2 games or 3 games, and he gets hurt again with an ACL this time. And then he's out. Chop Robinson was good for a rookie, but they threw him in. They had no choice but to throw him in.
Right.
Campbell is going to be 39 or 40 this year.
39.
You might have got the last year out of him at that high of a level.
Yeah.
He probably ain't going to be back next year. Linebacker's a mess. Safety was a mess. Cam Smith is a bust. Number 2 corner, Kendall Fuller was hurt. Like, they played well on defense with smoke and mirrors, and God bless Weaver. I don't know if you can get away with that 2 years in a row, and how they put together that side of the ball. Forget the offense again, which we know the holes they got there. How they put together that side of the ball heading into next year is going to be the most interesting thing because, running back's a need, but Achane was fantastic. Yeah, Jalen Wright, they just didn't use. Raheem Mostert's probably gone because it just opens up.
He's older too. Like, he's past.
He is, and he didn't have a good year. And plus, he fumbled away at least 1 win, maybe 2 at the start of the year that really hurt him. So they have a million holes. I don't know, I don't know how they're going to fill most of them without trying the same thing they tried last year of Shaq Barrett 1-year deal, which blew up in their face. Jordan Poyer, old guy, 1-year deal, blew up, and they have to go because they gave out so many big contracts last year.
I think that's what you're doing. I think you're signing people for 1-year deals and just going, just trying to see if it works. Because if it doesn't work, then it's going to turn over anyway. Because you end up going to, change the coaches, and probably Chris Grier might be out of there, and then the roster is going to change regardless. So you might as well just sign people to a 1-year deal, maybe a little bit of a Band-Aid. Defense, going back to defense, then I think that if you look at them, like to mask all those holes defensively, you better make sure you can rush the passer. Because if you can't rush the passer with all the holes that you got in the secondary and the linebacking core, then you're in huge trouble. So if anything, you need to make sure like you're airtight as far as pass rusher, whether it be, Phillips coming back or, get some extra help there. Chop Robinson, I think, will be really good in probably a year or two. I thought I liked it, to be honest with you. Like a lot of Dolphin fans hated it, but I thought he was a really tremendous at Penn State. I thought he was the second best defensive player next to Abdul Carter, who just lights out, like just tremendous. I think Abdul Carter is the best player in the draft, to be quite honest with you.
I think he might go number 1 overall. I wouldn't be shocked. Although if the Titans took a quarterback, I get it because you don't plan on picking one ever again. You don't think it's going to happen. So if they went quarterback and Ward, I totally get it. But if they can get someone like a Rodgers for a year or two and maybe wait on quarterback to round 2 or something, that wouldn't shock me if they went with him 1 overall, because I do think he's that good. And, fans of the Dolphins and fans of the Jets, as much as they go at it, they're so similar. It's been forever since either one of them won.
They're very tortured.
They're all tortured, and most of the fan base is delusional. Chop Robinson's the bus. He played 4 games. Give the guy a break. Okay, let's pump the brakes. He played 4 games, and he turned out fine at the end of the year, but nobody has any patience anymore for anything. And
everybody just want these rookies to come in and produce instantly.
It's like, have you seen Chris Grier's drafts? It almost never happens, okay?
It does not. He may hit like on 2 or 3 players, but it's rarely like he's going to like have an all-star.
It's been bad.
But
really bad.
I will say this, like with the Browns, like with the Myles Garrett situation, I wouldn't be surprised if they took up, if he made it to 2, like I probably would take Carter.
If he made it to 2, they probably should take him. Again, we're going to know once we get closer based on the quarterback shuffle. Cleveland has to sign a vet. The Titans probably have to sign a vet too. And again, if they're signing guys like Kirk Cousins, Rodgers, you know what? You can wait till round 2 or wait till next year to get your quarterback of the future. If you want to take someone like Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, or someone else at the top, like either one of those teams could. Now, Ward, I don't know if I'd pass on Ward because he was so good. And I saw him when he came up here to play that final game of the year. They lost. He still played great. I mean, he was unbelievable.
He was not the reason they lost.
He was not the reason they lost that game. They couldn't stop a running nose that day, let alone
the defense couldn't stop anything.
Defense was terrible. It was really bad. I mean, we got down. Because I'm here. We got down like 21-0, 24-0. It was like, guys, don't worry. This is going to be a 1-score game with about 5 minutes to go. And it pretty much was. Sanders. I could see a slide for Sanders draft night. Not that he's bad, because I don't think he's bad at all. I just think there might be a slide there because I think once people get a closer look at Carter, the cornerback from Michigan, Will Johnson, they're going to fall in love with some of these guys, and I think they're going to go up the boards. I could see him if he fell like 6 or 7.
Another guy like
Mason Graham, yeah. So he could go to 6 or 7 and fall. That would not shock me with Sanders, but it's going to. I mean, the Jets of Miami. Jets got young talent, but it sounds like they're all miserable. Like you got Hall, Wilson. Are they happy?
Well, I'll say I think Sauce is. I think Sauce wants to be part of the solution with the Jets. Brees and Garrett, I don't know if I can say that, to be honest with you. I think Garrett was very frustrated with his role. Like, you had Aaron Rodgers forcing the ball to Devontae Adams. Like, his targets went down when they traded for Adams, who I expect to be cut too as well, in addition to Rodgers.
I was just going to ask that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see him coming back. But, yeah, Garrett was not happy playing. He didn't like playing with Aaron Rodgers. And it was going back to all the way to training camp when they were yelling at each other. And then they tried to downplay it and say it was nothing. But it was something because, the relationship didn't get any better. And then they can try to spin it how they want to. But I wouldn't be surprised if Garrett Wilson asked for a trade, but I don't know how that's good. I don't know if he will or not, considering that they released Rodgers. But they're not happy. Garrett wants to win. He's used in high school. I think he said he lost twice. College and Ohio State, you don't lose a lot at Ohio State at all.
Once a year, maybe.
Exactly.
Once, maybe yeah.
Twice.
Twice, maybe, yeah.
And you go to the Jets, like you're losing 10 games every year. So he's not happy at all. So I wouldn't surprise me if they tried to give him an extension and he just said, I don't want to sign it right now.
Yeah. You're going to have a busy offseason up there with the Jets. Let's just say that you're going to have a busy.
I'm already having a busy
I know. Super Bowl is just Sunday.
I couldn't even get the Super Bowl off.
This was like the year when Miami fired Flores. Like, it was like somewhat after the season, I go, you know what? I'm just the podcasting website. I'm exhausted. The day they fired Flores, I'm like, I'm not going to have a minute's peace now. And it didn't, because it was lawsuits. You got race issues. This is on Fox News, on the Today Show, Good Morning America. I'm like, oh my God, this is good. This is blown up. It's all, and I think for the Jets, you're in that hell now. I think for Miami, it's not going to be that loud. I actually think it's going to be a quiet offseason because, once again, they have no money. So I don't know what they're going to do in March. I know they can make money, restructure, but if they restructure Tua to open up $20 million, they're stuck with him on the cap through 2029. I think someone has to be the adult in the room and be like, we cannot do this.
No,
like, okay, look, we thought he could stay healthy after 2023. We were probably wrong. Okay, don't make a bad deal worse,
even worse
by restructuring him. If you got to move on from Armstead or Chubb, go for it. Hill, I don't know. Do what you got to do, restructure, but do not touch that deal, because if you touch that deal, they're going to be in hell to the end of the decade.
Correct. And he's guaranteed to stay there longer. Like, I think, from what I understand, like, they have an out in 2 years. Like,
2 years. They got 24 months.
Yeah.
They got all 2025 and all 2026 season. Then there's somewhat, it's not totally clean, but it's not going to be the end of the world if you move on from him. And again, if he plays great in that time and he turns everything around, fantastic. He'll be here even longer. But if things continue to go the way they are, which I know some Dolphins fans don't want to hear, but here's the problem that they have, Miami. And it's a problem that cannot be solved in the offseason. They can go out there and have a great offseason in March and sign a bunch of guys. They can hit on 8 or 9 picks in the draft. The Dolphins' 2 biggest weaknesses are their head coach is in over his head and he's bad at his job. And the quarterback, you can't be trusted to stay healthy. And those 2 things come week 1 in September, you can't fix in March, April, May, June, July. Those are the 2 things hanging over them come week 1. And I don't know if either one of them have the ability to change. And that's
I also throw another problem in there. I think they're a finesse team. I don't think
obviously. I mean, that goes without saying. But that goes because how they're built. And that's just the philosophy.
But you can't. I don't think you can win in January with that type of style with just straight speed. Like, if you're going to Baltimore, you're going to Kansas City, you're going to Buffalo. Like, you got to be able to try to hit people in the mouth. Like, you need to bring a physical style of brand of football, and that's just something that they don't have. And until that changes, then they may make the playoffs, but they're not going to go anywhere. They're not
going to be a 6 or 7 seed out in round 1 again. That's their ceiling right now. And that's the philosophy, because you got Mike McDaniel, who wants these undersized offensive linemen who can pull and get out in front of the fast running backs on the edge and play with the speed. Once again, when you're playing the dregs of the world, the Patriots the past few years, the Jets the past few years, when you're playing the Raiders you're going to put up 40 points and look great, and you're going to have fun on those Sundays in September and October. When you play a real team, we always get our doors blown off because that shit don't work. Yeah. And it hasn't sunk through their head yet. And if they're going, and I fully expect it. They're going to double down on this philosophy because they never acknowledge they ever make a mistake. Never. Okay. He said 2 years in a row, you're more worried about the offensive line than we are. And then he said it 2 years in a row.
I know.
End of season press conference this year. He gets up, he goes, I know you guys joke about it, but you know what? He wouldn't walk it back still. It's like, have some humility.
I messed up.
Be like, you know what?
That's like, I messed up. That's all he had to say.
Just say, you know what? Now, he wouldn't walk it back, but then at the end, he goes, maybe now it's time to invest a little bit more in the offensive line. Just, you know what? Cut the other bullshit out and just say that up front and just leave it at that. But they don't do it, and that's the problem. And then you got the head coach saying players aren't showing up on time for meetings, and I'm finding them. Great, so you just announced to the world no one respects you. It's Correct. Like that press conference was such a bad look, and they don't get it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be the same until those guys are out of here. Like, when you come into a program, and that's what I like about, what the Jets are attempting to do. Like, they're trying to clean up all the mess.
Have accountability.
Yeah. And Aaron Glenn, and whether you believe the reports or not, then, there's a report out there saying that, they told Aaron Rodgers, not to do McAfee anymore. That was one of the parameters. But you're trying to set a culture. You're trying to set a tone for the culture within your organization. That's where Mike McDaniel messed up. Like, day one, you got to set the tone, immediately. This is not going to fly, period. You got to set that tone. Otherwise, you get what you get. You get Tyreek Hill. You get players that, are skipping practice and, being in stores instead of being out there on the field.
Or when Vic Fangio leaves, 3 players run to social media and put up funny, cute memes like, "Oh, glad he's gone," which not saying it, but putting up, we know who they are. It's like, you know what? That's the inmates running the asylum, and that's how you go 20 plus years without winning a playoff game. There's some accountability. There's, that shit don't happen with the good teams.
Correct.
Okay, so
they police themselves. They police the locker room. Yeah, like the Eagles, like all these teams, like none of that would have fly. Like they know how to police the locker room. They have locker room leadership, and it seems like to me, just talking with some various reporters that I still know and within the organization, the Dolphins don't have that right now, and that's what they're missing. Like you gotta have people that's gonna police it themselves. Like it shouldn't even be up to the coach. It should be up to the leadership in that locker room. And that starts with Tua, that starts with Tyreek Hill, that starts with Armstead, like everybody, like all the leaders on that team. And it just doesn't seem like they have that.
Well, let's be honest. The two best leaders they've had the past 10 years, one of them was there when you were there, in Landry.
Yes.
Traded him away. Wilkins let him walk out the door. That's why, look, I know you don't want to overpay for guys who aren't elite. And I get it. Those guys weren't elite, but you're also paying for more than just playing on the field. You're playing for those guys because our quarterback's not that guy. And that, not each one is. So I'm not even putting that on him as a fault. I'm just saying he's more of a quiet leader, which is fine. Yeah. It's fine. But when you got a guy like Wilkins, who was the leader, or someone like Landry, who was the leader way back when,
very vocal.
You don't let those guys walk out the door because you might be able to replace them on the field. You can't replace them in the locker room. It's because that is something that can't be taught. It can't be bought. Some guys have it, and it's tough to find those guys.
Those guys are dogs. They were dogs.
Yeah.
Like both of those guys, like both Wilkins and Landry, like they had a very fiery personality, and that just rubbed off on everybody. So that's what you need. Like, and not every quarterback is going to be a leader. I mean, that's fine, but you need to have somebody in your locker room on both sides of the football, I think, that are like that. Somebody on the offensive end, somebody on the defensive end that's going to hold people accountable. And it just doesn't seem like they have that.
All right, 2 more questions, and I'm going to let you go. Question number 1. If the Tyreek Hill incident happened, if he played for the Jets or the Giants, how much larger of a story would that have been up there? Because it was a story down here, don't get me wrong, but it's also a story down in South Florida. It's not the same.
No.
You know it now because you've been up there with the Jets in that circle, the Northeast, New York media, Philly, New York.
Yeah.
Up there. And it's just different. I can't explain it to fans of the Dolphins. It's just totally different. If he said something like that up there, they would have ran him out of town in a week, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like it's so much more media up here than it is down there. I think that's part of it. Although the Jets media is small compared to the Giants, but still, it's so many media stations. So he would have been gone. Like it would have been no question. No way he would have returned. I also think that, with a sterner coach, like look what Kyle Shanahan did, when that situation happened,
Guy was gone in a week.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, he's gone. Like he's off the team. Like most coaches aren't going to put up for that. Like, and then you're allowing this man to come back in your locker room. What does that say about, you as the coach in the organization for a man to go out there and quit like that when your season was on the line like that? And then to come out with the comments after the game, like, it just wouldn't fly for me. Like, I don't know how as a player, like I would have been able to come back in there and respect that person. And just knowing that, what if it happens? What if things go sideways?
Oh, it's going to happen again. It's Tyreek.
Exactly. Look, I know things go sideways. He's going to do it again.
I know he's making a ton of money, so it's tough with the cap to just say, just go. And I know it makes them worse on the field. I get it. But there does come a point of addition by subtraction. Look at the Bills. They had a wide receiver who was causing all hell. Bye-bye, Diggs. And guess what? They
got better.
One step further. I mean, they're almost in the Super Bowl, but they didn't miss him is the point. And I go back to 2007 with the Giants. They were just sort of lukewarm. Shockey was a pain in the ass. And the minute he got hurt and was out for the year, Eli Manning had all that hit. He could breathe because Shockey was such a loudmouth and he was away from the team once he got hurt out for the year. They go on to win the Super Bowl. Guess what? Shockey's gone that offseason, trade to the Saints. Sometimes it's addition by subtraction. Yes, it's tough to replace the great player. I get it. But just having that constant drama, that cloud hanging over you, it gets exhausting. And I think for Miami, I don't know what they're going to do. I still think there's a chance they'll get rid of him, although it's unlikely because I think they're just afraid, honestly. But he's just a big pain in the ass. If that happened in Pittsburgh with the Patriots, Jets, Giants, Eagles, any Northeast team, the media would destroy them 10 times worse.
Well, we would have had, you know how many columns would have been written about that?
It'd be the lead story on every radio station every day for a month.
I would have wrote about it. Like every public, the Post would have wrote about it. Like everybody wrote about it to the point where they would have had no choice but to get rid of them. Like, period.
Yeah.
So, like, it is some people like Tyreek Hill, like he just seemed like one of those people. It's just trouble seems to find him, and I think part of it is a lot of it's self-inflicted.
So it's all self-inflicted.
Yeah. So
all self-inflicted.
Yeah, you just got to get rid of players like that.
All right, last question. You're a Syracuse guy. We're now a football school again. We're a football school again.
Oh yeah, we damn sure ain't basketball.
We damn sure ain't a basketball school anymore. We're a football school again. We got Fran Brown, the franchise. Look, I know it's tough with the schedule. You got to come up for a game, Antwan.
I do.
We are packing the house. I'm telling you right now, if the Jets have a bye,
let's figure it out.
Around Halloween.
Yeah. Or they have a Thursday
Bill
night
Belichick's
game.
up here on Halloween night. That's a Friday night. It's a Friday night.
Oh, I might do that. If they don't play, if they're not on the road, then I'll come.
That's a Friday night game. Syracuse, you can get back to the Meadowlands or wherever they are now. I know that's Friday night. That's Bill Belichick. Oh, that one, when he walks in that place, I'm going to die. First off, the fact he's back in college is crazy. The fact he's in the ACC and not the Big Ten or the SEC is crazy. And that he's going to be up in Syracuse for a game. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I can't. I still can't believe it. Really, see the pictures of him walking around UNC's campus and at basketball games. I'm like, wow, this is so surreal. Like, I just can't believe it.
It's just going to be 1 year. Anyone who thinks this is more than a year is nuts. Like, he's going to be back in the NFL next year. I firmly believe that. Someone's going to give him a shot. This is a 1 year thing, but for that 1 year, it's going to be fantastic to follow. And the fact they're coming here, I love every minute of it. Halloween lights are off. Kids no candy this year. I'm up at the Dome watching this game. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we'll circle back on that once the schedule comes out. But I'm definitely interested in that for sure.
Awesome. All right, Antwan, thanks so much, everyone. Be sure to follow Antwan Staley on Twitter at Antwan Staley. Read his work at the New York Daily News. I know it's work with the Jets, but look, folks, it's the offseason entertainment. The Jets are just as much of a cluster as Miami. You can have a few laughs following them, just like we do following the Dolphins. And also, don't forget Caneswear.com. Everyone go to Caneswear.com for the latest. Antwan, always a blast when you come on. We have to do this more often. Oh yeah, and I'm sure when the Jets are in the headlines, probably in a week or so, I might ask you to come back on because it's never dull and there's always going to be something.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll release a statement about Aaron, and then everybody will want me to come back on. So,
all right, everyone, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you again after a while.